Hello everyone, this is Jim McCormick, and for this week 2 video in Access, one of the video, I'd like to show you how to go about and relate tables together in Access database and talk a little bit about that. It's a really important concept in databases, and whether it's in Access or any other database you can think of. As you saw last week, the idea that Access is a relational database is a big idea in Access, and again, the whole database world. By relating tables together, when you run queries, you're able to get records that actually make sense with what the information is between the various tables that you're bringing together in the query. Without relating tables, if you ran a query, you actually would be getting records that don't make sense. So you'd have, and I'll be coming up with an example here, or showing you an example of a customers table and an orders table that I'm going to relate to my table or in my database. And if I didn't relate the customers and orders tables together, I would have customer information related or in the same record as my orders, and that would not make sense because I would have these customers related or linked to orders information that they didn't place. So if you think about this from a business point of view, if I've got a business and so I've got a customers table where I'm putting information about my customers that order from me, so I put down their name, their address, city, state, etc. Then I have another table in my database called the orders table. So the orders table would be a table that collects the information about what each customer orders from me. So I'm going to, maybe list down my customer ID as they place an order with me, maybe through my website or actually at my store. What the order ID is. So my order ID would be the unique identifier in my orders table, and allow me to create or designate that as a primary key field. Also, I may have like a price field in there, so how much the order actually is for the parts that they order from me would be included as well. So each table would be kind of important for my business, so I could actually have a record of what's going on, a record of the customers that I'm doing business with, and also a record of what they actually are ordering from me on a regular basis. So now, what I'll do is I'll go into, I'll show you quickly what these tables look like, and I'll go about actually relating these tables together. So first of all, I'll give you a quick look at my customers table. And as you see here, this is basically kind of a straightforward table: customer name, address, city, state, zip code. You may likely have other fields in this table, so again, just kind of throwing this out as a little example. If I go into the design view, you can see that I got the customer ID field as a primary key field. So that's designated by the key symbol there again, and the data type for my customer ID field is a text data type. So all these fields I have set up as text data types in my table. One key thing in Access, when you relate two tables together, the linking field, the key or the field that's actually linking those two tables together, besides having the same information, has to have the same data type. So that's a really important thing to remember. Otherwise, Access will not allow you to actually create that relationship. All right, I'll close up this table, and we'll take a look at the orders table. The orders table has an order ID field, as you can see here. That's how I'm uniquely identifying each record in my orders table. I've got my customer ID field telling me what customer has placed the order. Then I got a product and a price field, so a couple other various fields that you maybe would include in an orders table like this. If I go into design view mode, I can see my order ID field is my primary key field in this table. So again, that's got to be unique in each record for my orders table. Also, my customer ID field is in this table, but it's just a regular field, just like any other field in this table. So, and I can do that because you think about this, in the customers table, my customer ID is a primary key field in that table, so it can only show up once as I create a table listing my various customers that I do business with. But in this orders table, I would like to have my customer's ID field show up more than once because I would like to have multiple orders for my customers, obviously in real life. So in your database, you can represent this by having the customer ID field be just a regular field. And that's certainly allowed in Access with how we've got this database set up at this point in time. So what we're going to do is we're going to relate these two tables together by the customer ID field. And so the key thing here is that you're going to have this customer ID field as a primary key field in one table. And then over here in this table, the orders table, it's just going to be a regular field. And so this is the most common type of relationship you'll see in Access, and it's one that's called a one-to-many relationship. So the one-to-many relationship You've got a primary key. You got the field being a primary key field on one table. In this case, the customer's table. The other table is just a regular field that can show up multiple times, so that's going to be just a regular basic field, and that's where we get the one and many. The one refers to the table that it's a primary key field in. The many means that it can show up more than once unique value from the customer's table, so that we have the many side of the relationship. One side just having it once as a primary key field as a record. On the many side, in this case the orders table, that customer ID value can show up many times as they place multiple orders with us in our business. So I'm going to close out this table again because you need to have your tables closed as you build your relationships. And I'm going to close out this tab as well. Now to build a relationship in Access, you're going to click on the Database Tools tab and click on the Relationships button. You'll get a Insert Dialog or Show Table dialog box where you need to insert your two tables or all the tables that you want to. It's up to you. And I'm going to insert my customers table, so I click on it, it gets highlighted, hit the Add button, and then click on my orders table and click the Add button. I close up that dialog box for my show table. Now creating a relationship in Access is very simple to do. I'm going to go ahead and drag the customer ID field from one table to the other right on top of that customer ID field in the other table. So you need to make sure you put this right on top of that other field. So I'm going to go from the orders table and drag my mouse pointer right above the customer ID field in the customers table. I'll get a little plus sign by my mouse pointer. It tells me I'm about to build a relationship. Release. So now I've got my two fields showing up here in this box. Customer ID tells me what tables are coming from. Now the other thing is down here we got some boxes, enforce referential integrity. What this does is if I click off that checkbox for enforce referential integrity, that means if I'm going in and putting in a record in my orders table and I'm putting in a value for my customer ID in my orders table for a new record, that customer ID that I put in has to exist already in the customer's table. And if you think about this, you'd want that to happen because if you put in a customer ID that doesn't exist in the customer's table, you lose your integrity in your database because now you're putting in information that doesn't already exist in the table where it's the one side of the relationship, and you're not going to get valid information out of your queries. So this is a good checkbox to check off. This other checkbox, next one, cascade update related fields. If for some reason I go into the customers table and I change, in this case, maybe I change the customer ID to a different value, for whatever reason, I don't know if I'd recommend this a lot, but if you wanted to change a customer ID of a customer, if I did that, it would go ahead and flow into my orders table, and that customer ID in my orders table would update automatically. So however many times it showed up in my orders table, it would change over to the new customer ID value that I set for my customers table. So definitely a good thing to have in that case. Lastly, an option which I don't know if I'd recommend in most cases would be cascade delete up related records. And what this means is if in my customers table, if I delete out a customer, they no longer exist for whatever reason, so I get them out of my customers table, that would actually delete the related orders in my orders table where that customer ID was being used. So in some cases you might think that might be a good thing to do, and perhaps in some cases it would be, but for a lot of people we like to keep things in our databases and our tables. Especially when it comes to order information, so you can maybe reconcile at the end of the year how much money you made, or some other situations based on the number of orders that you received in as your business. So it would be good not to do this because then you'll have that record of those orders that came from that customer, even though they no longer exist. So I usually recommend not checking out that box, but again, that'll be up to you. And then you click the Create button. And I now get this relationship created between my two tables. So on the customers table, you see a 1 next to the customer ID. That means that that's a primary key field in that table. It can only show up once, that unique value. Over here, the customer ID field is just a regular field. And that customer ID can show up multiple times because I can have that customer ordering multiple times from me. And since that customer ID field is not a primary key field in my orders table, I'm not violating any rules in Access. So I got things set up and I'm looking good to go here at this point. If I want to delete this relationship for some reason, which I don't recommend once you get your database up and rolling, you can right click on this line and choose delete. Otherwise from here you can get back into the relationships dialog box by clicking edit relationship And if you want to at some point, you could actually check off that cascade delete related records or maybe make some other minor modifications to this. Over here, we've got the join type, which is basically talking about how these two tables are joined together. For the purpose of this point and where we're at with Access, I'm not going to get into that discussion right now, but we'll be taking a look at that a little bit later on, I believe, in the class. So anyhow, at this point, we got a relationship all set up, so again, we are good to go. And now if I went ahead and create a query, and I put in some fields from my customers, and then also put in fields from my orders tables, they would actually make sense. I would just be getting orders that would actually relate it to the customers and the orders they actually place. If I didn't have this relationship, I'd be getting a jumbled mess of records in my query with customer information interspersed with orders that they did not actually place. So that's why you need to relate your tables together. If you don't, your queries won't make sense. Your records will be all jumbled up in the query once you put that together and run the query. And again, the information will be invalid actually in your database. So I hope you enjoyed this WIMA video this second week, showing you how to create tables or actually create table relationships and why we need to do that in Microsoft Access. And again, this is a similar concept to any sort of database program you might be working with going forward. Have any questions throughout the week, please contact me, and hope you have a good week too. Thanks.